I plunged the knife into my father-in-law's prized vintage Mustang, not to kill him, but to carve out the truth he'd buried deeper than my son's fresh grave, starting with the word betrayal etched into the hood under the sodium glow of his driveway lights. That same night, as sirens wailed in the distance like the ghosts of broken vows, I uploaded the security footage to every family group chat, the one showing his hands, those same hands that once signed my wedding certificate, rifling through my boy's life support gear like it was Black Friday clearance at a pawn shop. And when my wife, tear-streaked and screaming, lunged at me with accusations of madness, I whispered the hook that would unravel us all. You knew, didn't you, about the pills he stole from the pharmacy, the ones that should have been mine to take the fall for. My name is Sage Harlan, and up until that godforsaken Tuesday in the fluorescent hell of Mercy General's pediatric wing, I thought betrayal was just a word for bad divorces and office backstabs. I was 38, a mid-level IT consultant in the sprawl of suburban Chicago, the kind of guy who fixed firewalls for faceless corporations while dreaming of coaching my son's Little League team. Ethan was 8, all freckles and gap-toothed grins, with a laugh that could cut through rush-hour traffic like a summer breeze off Lake Michigan. He had cystic fibrosis, the thief in the night that turned every cough into a countdown. We'd scraped together for his treatments, nehi vests, portable oxygen concentrators, a custom BiPAP machine that cost more than my first house down payment. Insurance fought us tooth and nail, but we won that battle, or so I thought. My wife, Lena, came from old money, or what passed for it in the Windy City. Her dad, Victor Russo, owned a string of antique shops that everyone whispered were fronts for fencing hot goods. He was the silver-tongued king of the family, with a handshake that sealed deals and eyes that sized you up like a mark at the track. Lena's brother, Marco, was the muscle, a ex-cop turned private security consultant who moonlighted shaking down debtors for Victor's bookies. They tolerated me, the outsider with the stable job, and the kid who wheezed like a broken accordion. Sage the Sage, Victor called me, half joking, like I was some folksy advisor in a Coen Brothers flick. But tolerance ain't love, and it sure as hell ain't loyalty. That Tuesday, Ethan spiked a fever higher than the Sears Tower on a clear day. Pneumonia had crashed the party again, and the docs rushed him into emergency surgery to drain his lungs. I paced the waiting room, nursing a vending machine coffee that tasted like regret, while Lena chain-smoked menthols out back, her manicured nails tapping against the filter like Morse code for "this too shall pass." Victor and Marco showed up around noon, uninvited but inevitable, bearing Krispy Kremes and that fake uncle concern that reeks of obligation. "Kid's a fighter, Sage-o," Victor boomed, clapping my shoulder hard enough to jolt my fillings. "Just like his old man here." "Huh." Marco grunted agreement, his eyes scanning the room like he was casing it for valuables. Surgery dragged into hour 5, the kind where time stretches like taffy in hell. I stepped out for air, leaving my backpack stuffed with Ethan's gear, the BiPAP, the vest, even his nebulizer meds in the corner by the vending machines. Stupid? Yeah. In hindsight, but exhaustion makes saints into sinners. When I came back, the bag was gone. "Must have been housekeeping," the nurse said, shrugging like it was no big deal. Panic clawed at my throat, but the OR light blinked green. Ethan was out. Stable for now. I shoved the theft to the back burner, focusing on holding his tiny hand as the anesthesiologist droned about recovery. By evening, Ethan was in ICU, hooked to the hospital's machines, his chest rising and falling in that mechanical rhythm that no parent ever gets used to. Victor and Marco had split for errands, promising to swing back with takeout. Lena crashed in the recliner, mascara streaked and snoring softly. I dozed fitfully, dreams haunted by beeping monitors and the phantom weight of that missing bag. Around 2 a.m., a security guard shook me awake. "Mr. Harlan, we got footage you need to see. Now." The guard's office was a closet of flickering screens and stale donuts. He queued up the tape from Corridor C. Time-stamped 1:17 a.m., prime time for ghouls. There I was, shuffling out for that smoke break I didn't even take. 30 seconds later, two figures in hoodies, stocky builds, deliberate gaits, slipped in from the service door. One rifled my bag like a pro, yanking out the BiPAP mask, the vest's power pack, even the med vials. The other wheeled a laundry cart, dumping it all in with the efficiency of a smash-and-grab at a Jewel-Osco. They vanished into the freight elevator, ghosts in gray sweats. "Recognize them?" the guard asked, his gut straining against his belt. My blood turned to ice water. The taller one had a tell, a faded tattoo peeking from his cuff. An anchor with Russo scripted below. Marco. And the shorter, with that deliberate limp from a bar fight gone south, Victor. My in-laws. The family I'd folded into like a bad hand of poker, looting my son's lifeline while he lay cracked open on an operating table. I didn't scream. Didn't call the cops right then. Rage is a slow burn in guys like me, the ones who debug code at 3 a.m. instead of punching walls. I thanked the guard, pocketed a USB of the footage, and slipped back to Ethan's room. Lena stirred as I sat, her eyes puffy. "What is it?" she mumbled. I forced a smile. "Nothing, babe. Just paperwork." But inside, gears were grinding. Victor and Marco hadn't just stolen gear, they'd sold it. I knew their game. Quick flips on the dark web, medical black market for desperate folks south of the border, or in trailer parks too broke for legit channels. Ethan's vest alone? Street value $5,000. Easy. And the meds? Opioid-laced nebulizers that could fetch double to addicts tweaking for a high. Dawn broke gray over the loop's skyline, and Ethan woke coughing, asking for his magic vest to make the hurt go away. The hospital had backups, but delays meant risks, another infection, another intubation. I fielded Victor's call like a pro, voice steady as I lied about picking up the gear from Lost and Found. "All good here. Say Joe," he chuckled, the hypocrisy dripping like syrup. "Tell the little champ uncle," Vic's praying for a payout. More like. That afternoon, while Lena ran for Starbucks, I hacked their shop's inventory log, child's play for a guy who Penteus spanks for a living. Sure enough, 2 vintage medical curios listed at noon the next day. Portable air compressor, mid-century design, $2, 800 OBO. The BiPAP. And a respiratory aid vest. Industrial surplus, $1, 200. My son's breath. Auctioned off like Civil War relics. Buyers? Anonymous crypto wallets. But one traced to a chop shop in Cicero, Victor's old stomping grounds. Betrayal hit like a freight train then, not just the theft, but the why. Ethan was family. Or was he? Whispers from Lena's side had always hinted at tensions, Victor griping about the kids' bills draining the well, Marco muttering that charity starts at home. But this was calculated. Cold as a South Side winter. I confronted Lena that night in the hospital cafeteria, the footage burning a hole in my phone. Your dad and brother, I said, voice low, sliding the screen her way. Her face drained of color, fork clattering against styrofoam. Sage.
No.
It can't. It is. I leaned in. The hum of fluorescent lights, our only witness. They sold Ethan's shit while he was under the knife. For what? To cover your brother's gambling debts? Your dad's latest horse that didn't come in. She crumpled, sobs muffled into her sleeve. But here's the hook that twisted the knife. She didn't deny it. Didn't rage at them. Just whispered. He made me promise not to tell.
Said it was temporary.
Just till the insurance kicked in. Temporary. Like my boy's life was a layaway plan at Sears. That's when the revenge blueprint started sketching itself in my head, not the Hollywood bang-bang, but the slow, digital dismantle. I'd been the fall guy before.
See.
5 years back, when Marco got pinched boosting painkillers from a CPD evidence locker. It was me who took the heat. Anonymous tip led to my car, stuffed with the baggies by Victor's associate, and a plea deal that cost me my security clearance and a year of probation. Family helps family, Victor had said, toasting me with Chianti. I'd swallowed it. For Lena. For Ethan. Carried that scarlet letter so Marco could keep his badge.
But now?
Now the scales tipped. I started small. Anonymized the footage. Seeded it to a subreddit for medical fraud whistleblowers. By morning, it was viral in the underbelly, dark web forums, buzzing about Russo ripoffs. Victor's shops got dinged with health code inspections. Bogus Yelp reviews tanking their stars. Marco's PI license? I spoofed a client complaint, laced with just enough truth to trigger an ethics probe.
Petty? Sure.
But it was foreplay. Ethan stabilized. Discharged a week later with loaner gear. But the scar ran deeper than his surgical incisions. Home in our split level in Naperville, with its white picket fence mocking our fractures. Lena begged for mercy. They're scum.
Sage.
But they're blood.
Blood.
The word curdled. So's Ethan, I shot back. And they bled him dry. We fought in whispers. The kind that echo louder than shouts, her defending the devils who raised her. Me plotting their unmaking. The real unraveling kicked off at Sunday dinner. Victor's sprawling McMansion in Oak Brook. All marble counters and oil paintings of gondoliers that screamed, new money. Ethan colored at the kids' table, oblivious, while the adults circled like sharks. Victor, ever the showman, poured Merlots and spun yarns about his legit flips at auction houses. Marco smirked, nursing a IPA, his knee bouncing under the table. Lena avoided my eyes, picking at her osso buco. I waited till dessert, tiramisu laced with enough espresso to wake the dead. Great meal. Vic, I said, casual as a Cubs opener. Reminds me of that time you flipped those antiques from the hospital. His fork paused midair. Jovial mask cracking just a hair. What's that? Seijo. I pulled out my phone. The footage cued. Volume low but lethal. The room froze as pixelated shadows danced, Victor's limp unmistakable. Marco's tattoo a neon confession. You son of a bitch, Marco growled, half rising. Victor's hand shot out, steadying him like a ventriloquist with his dummy.
Easy, boy.
Let's hear the man. His eyes met mine. Calculating. That gambler's glint appraising the pot. Security cams lie.
Kid.
Angles. Edits. Deep fakes these days. Am I right? Lena gasped. Hand to mouth.
Sage.
Please. but I was done pleasing. Lies? I traced the crypto
Vic.
to your Cicero buddy, Ramon the recycler. $5,000 wired same day, Ethan coded in recovery. Ethan's head snapped up from his coloring book, confusion etching his face. Daddy, what's coding? The table erupted, Marco lunging. Plates shattering. Victor barking orders like a mob boss in a Scorsese cut. I held ground, phone aloft like Moses with the tablets. Touch me? And this hit CNN by dawn. They backed off, breaths ragged, the air thick with garlic and grudge. That night, driving home with Ethan belted in back, humming off-key to some Disney tune, I felt the first real crack in my soul. Revenge tasted like ash. But quitting? That wasn't an option. Not when the man who'd sworn to protect my family had pawned their future for a quick score. Victor texted as we hit I-88. We talk.
Tomorrow.
My office. Come alone. I went. His shop was a labyrinth of dusty shelves, Rolexes that ticked funny, vases with chips restored by blind hope. He waited in the back, scotch in hand, a leather wingback creaking under his bulk. Sage, he started, voice oiled with regret. It was a mistake. Heat of the moment. Marco's debts, shark circling. I figured insurance would cover. No harm. No harm, I laughed, bitter as instant Folgers. Ethan aspirated bile because we delayed his vest. Nearly flatlined. Victor winced. Genuine or not, I couldn't tell anymore. I'll make it right. Double the value back. Plus interest. And Marco? He'll confess. Take the hit. Family code.
Yeah.
The offer hung, tempting as forbidden fruit. Mercy for restitution. But then he played his card. Lena's pregnant.
Sage.
3 months. Your blood. Our legacy. The room spun. A baby? Joy and horror collided, another mouth to feed in this viper's nest. You knew, I whispered. That's why the rush job on the gear. Leverage. He shrugged. Unrepentant. Business.
Kid.
But blood's thicker. I left without signing his phantom check, the seed of deeper vendetta taking root.
Pregnant.
God help the kid. Weeks blurred into a tense standoff. The Russo empire creaking under my guerrilla hacks. I doxed their suppliers, anonymous emails to FDA tip lines flagging counterfeit meds traced to Victor's warehouses. Shipments seized, fines mounting like snowdrifts in a blizzard. Marco's PI gigs dried up, clients ghosted after leaked, reviews painted him as a badge-flashing bully with sticky fingers. Lena oscillated between fury and fealty, her belly just starting to swell under loose sweaters. You're destroying us. Sage, she'd hiss during late-night feeds for Ethan, who now eyed family gatherings like a stray cat at a dog park. For what? Pride. Pride?
Nah.
It was justice, or the closest approximation a code monkey like me could code. But doubt nod, nights I'd stare at the nursery cam, Ethan's chest whistling softly, wondering if vengeance was just grief in a trench coat. Victor played the long game, sending olive branches, a crisp envelope with 10 grand cash for the kids. Flowers for Lena that wilted faster than our trust. I burned the money in the backyard fire pit, flames dancing like accusations, and forwarded pics to his bookie as collateral. The flip came at the 20-week scan. Lena's OB, a no-nonsense Korean doc in a strip mall clinic off Pulaski, confirmed it, a girl. We named her Riley in utero, after Lena's gran. The one family tale Victor spun as a bootlegger's mall who'd outsmarted the feds. Joy flickered, tentative as a match in wind, ultrasounds showing tiny fists punching at the void. Ethan lit up, drawing crayon blueprints of sister forts. For a breath. Normalcy teased, block parties with glow sticks. White Sox games where mustard outshone the score. But Victor smelled weakness. He cornered me at a backyard barbecue. Coals hissing under ribs. Kids shrieking on the slip and slide. Truce. Say Joe. He thrust a beer my way. Foam spilling like spilled secrets. I got Marco to lawyer up. Full confession. Restitution. Even threw in a trust for the girl. His eyes darted to Lena's silhouette in the kitchen. Hand on her bump.
Trust.
The word mocked. What's the catch? I asked.
Not sipping.
He leaned in, breath sour with bud. You bury the footage. Deep six it. And that hack shit? Call off the dogs. A pause. Then the hook. Or I tell Lena about the affair. Affair? My gut dropped. What the hell? With Carla, your old TA from Northwestern. Emails I acquired.
Carla.
Ancient history. A drunken weekend senior year. Buried deeper than Jimmy Hoffa.
How?
Victor's grin was a shark's. Family looks out. Remember? Dug it up for insurance. Blackmail. Vintage Russo. I laughed. Hollow. Leverage on leverage. Classy. But inside. Panic surged. Lena pregnant. Fragile. Ethan already scarred. Spill this. And the house of cards topples. I played along, nodding like a bobblehead at a bear's tailgate.
Deal.
Shook his hand, feeling the calluses of a man who'd gripped too many throats. That night, I mirrored his play, dug into old CPD files. The kind probation barred me from. But VPNs are God's gift to the grudge-held. Turns out, Victor's antique empire had roots in a 90s pill mill bust. He walked free because the snitch, Lena's mom, suicided 6 months later in a tragic Lake Michigan plunge. Overdose. Ruled accident. But the tox report I'd bribed a clerk for? Clean as a whistle. Victor's prints. Faint but there. On the pill bottle. He'd staged it. Pinned the mill on her to save his skin. My mother-in-law. Dead for a secret that wasn't hers. The knowledge sat like lead in my chest.
Confront?
Nah, that handed him the narrative. Instead, I ceded it to a true crime podcaster. Windy City Whispers, with just enough breadcrumbs to tease without fingering. Episodes dropped. The Widow's Shadow. Did Oak Brook's kingpin kill for keeps? Listen spiked. Victor's phone blowing up with reporters. He called. Voice velvet over steel. Cute.
Sage.
But leaks cut both ways. Lena sensed the storm. Her mood swinging like lake effect gales. Dad says you're escalating, she confronted one night. Rain lashing our windows like judgment. That podcast? It's him. Isn't it? I pulled her close. The bump between us a fragile bridge. He started it. Lena. Stole from Ethan. Killed your mom. Maybe. Her slap landed soft. More sorrow than sting.
Lies.
You're paranoid. Like after the plea.
The plea.
Marco's theft. My fall. She'd never forgiven. Or forgotten. I'm protecting us, I insisted. From them. Riley kicked then. A morse for bullshit. Lena pulled away. Eyes hard. Us? Or just your war? She slept on the couch, the rift widening. Marco flipped next. The loose cannon in Victor's arsenal. He cornered me outside a jewel cart loaded with Ethan's Pediasure, his bulk blocking the Prius. You think you're smart.
Huh?
Dad's plays are chess, your checkers. Spit flew, veins bulging like overfilled sausages. Drop it. Or the kid, Ethan, gets a visit from my old CPD pals. Welfare check, they call it. Threaten my boy. The world narrowed to red. I fainted left. Drove my knee into his groin. Textbook. No witnesses but the parking lot cams I'd loop later. He folded, wheezing, as I leaned down. Touch him, and your badge dreams die in a cell with Bubba. He laughed through the pain, eyes manic. Already dead.
Brother-in-law.
Thanks to you. Crawled to his F-150, taillights fading into the sodium haze. That night, I upped the ante, fished Marco's email, snagged login creds for his offshore betting accounts.
Draining dry.
Funneled to a CF foundation anon. Poetic. Right?
His debts.
Paying for kids like Ethan. But flips breed flips. Victor. Cornered. Went nuclear. Leaked my affair docs to Lena via a burner. She confronted at dawn. Printouts trembling in her fists. Carla? Northwestern? Who the fuck are you? Sage. Tears carved rivers down her face. The bump a accusation. I explained youth. Stupidity. Irrelevance. But facts don't heal fractures. And the gear? Mom? You're poisoning everything. She packed a bag. Crashed at Victor's. For Riley. For sanity. Alone with Ethan. His questions a litany. Where's mommy? Is baby's sister mad? I broke. Called a fixer. A ghost from my dark web days. Echo. A ex-NSA type who moonlighted erasing digital sins for 7 figures. Bury the Russos, I wired. Everything. Cost me the house equity. But worth it. Echo delivered. Victor's shops raided for laundering. Marco indicted on federal wire fraud. Headline screamed, Chicago pawn empire crumbles. Family ties to mob. Victor lawyered up. Out on bond. But his empire smoked. Lena? Radio silence. Till the call at 3 a.m. It's time. Riley's coming. Meet me at Mercy. Labor hit like a Category 5. Lena pale and cursing in the birthing suite. Victor lurked in the hall. Marco sidelined by bail conditions. I held her hand through the contractions, whispering apologies into her sweat-damp hair. I did it for us. I lied. She squeezed till bones ground. Shut up and push. Riley arrived at 4:17 p.m. July 4th fireworks popping over the skyline like ironic applause. 6 pounds even, tufts of dark hair. Lungs belting a cry that drowned monitors. Ethan met her in the nursery. Finger tracing the glass. She's pretty.
Dad.
Like a firework. Perfection. Fragile as spun glass. But Victor slithered in post-delivery. Balloons in hand. Eyes on the prize. Grandkids.
Sage-o.
Legacy. He cooed over Riley. But his gaze lingered, calculating inheritance. Leverage renewed. Lena. Doped on epidurals. Smiled weakly. Truce, she murmured. I nodded. Bile rising.
Truce my ass.
That's when the real hook sank. Echo's final drop. An encrypted file labeled Russo root. Cracked it on the hospital Wi-Fi. Heart hammering. Not just the pill mill. Victor hadn't staged Lena's mom's death. He'd outsourced it.
To me. No, wait.
The plea deal? It wasn't Marco's pills. It was Victor's entire operation, laundered through my car as the patsy. And the snitch? Lena's mom.
Yes.
But the suicide? Victor's hit to silence her. Pinned on a ghost driver me. In falsified witness statements he'd buried. I'd taken the fall unknowingly. Probation, my blindfold. Twist, I was the secret weapon. The fall guy who'd enabled it all. Revenge? I'd been dancing on my own grave. Discharge day dawned sticky. Humidity clinging like guilt as we wheeled Riley out in her car seat throne. Ethan trailing with a balloon string whipping his face. Home felt haunted. Lena's side of the closet bare. Baby bottles sterilized in silent vigil. Victor's truce held paper thin. He texted daily check-ins laced with barbs. Family first.
Sage.
Don't forget. Marco. Out on house arrest. Sent dick pics of threats via proxy accounts, crude Photoshop of Ethan in cuffs. I scrubbed them, but the poison seeped. Fatherhood doubled down. A manic blur of midnight feeds and nebulizer rituals. Riley latched fierce. Colic her only vice. While Ethan regressed, bedwetting. Nightmares of bad uncles stealing air. Therapy bills stacked. But so did my war chest. Freelance gigs pentasting for pharma giants. Irony not lost. Lena drifted back mid-August. Suitcase in hand. Eyes hollow as the magnificent mile after dark. For the kids, she said, kissing Riley's crown. No, I love you. Just logistics. We tiptoed around the minefield, sexless nights. Conversations clipped like bad reception. But undercurrents churned. She'd whisper to Victor on burner apps, thinking I wouldn't notice the glow. The podcast blew up. Whispers dropping part 2. The Patsy and the Pawn. Did a good man take the fall for Chicago's Shadow King? Guests dissected the plea. My name redacted, but recognizable to insiders. Victor lawyered harder. Countersuits flying like confetti at a mob wedding. But the public? They split, Reddit threads raging. Sage is a hero. Exposing corruption versus vigilante hack. Guy's unhinged. Endangering his own fam. Controversy crackled. My inbox a deluge of tips. Threats. Even a GoFundMe for Ethan's care that hit 6 figures overnight. Validation. Or validation trap. I leaned in. Anonymous AMA on the sub. The footage fiend speaks. Spilled guts, the theft, the blackmail, the buried mom. Views exploded. But so did blowback. CPS knocked polite like. Routine welfare check, courtesy of Marco's CPD ghosts. They left satisfied. But the chill lingered. Victor escalated. Slipping a PI tail on me, amateur hour. I shook him with a subway switcheroo downtown. Confronted at his club. A faux Irish dive in River North smelling of peat and payoffs. Call off your dog, I growled over whiskeys he comped. He swirled his glass. Ice clinking like handcuffs. Or what? More podcasts? You're in deep now.
Kid.
That GoFund? Tainted. IRS sniffing for fraud. A flip he offered partnership. Join the family biz. Legit flips, your tech. My network. Cut of the pie for the brats. Temptation nod. Riley's formula wasn't cheap. Ethan's transplants loomed like storm clouds. Sell out, I scoffed. After you pawned my son's lungs? Victor's laugh boomed, drawing stares from tweed-jacketed swells. Business?
Sage.
Your boy's gear? Collateral. Like your plea was for the greater good. Greater good. The phrase curdled. You killed her. My mother-in-law. For what? To keep your pill game rolling. His face tightened, mask slipping. She was weak. Snitched for a plea. Thought it'd save her skin. But family? We handle our own. No remorse. Just fact, like discussing the weather over the L tracks. I left with his card. Embossed gold. Burning a hole in my pocket.
Partnership.
The devil's handshake. Lena found out about the AMA. Of course, Victor's whisper network. Stormed the kitchen. Riley fussing in her swing. You're famous now? The betrayed dad? While I field calls from reporters asking if my dad's a murderer. Her voice cracked. Hands twisting a dish rag. Ethan heard at school, kids calling him the stolen kid. You happy?
No.
But surrender? That handed Victor the win. They deserve truth, I countered. All of it, she laughed.
Bitter.
Truth? Yours is a weapon. Mine's survival. That night, she slipped out with the kids for a weekend at Graham's, which meant Victor's fortress. My texts bounced unread, panic rising like bile. Drove to Oak Brook at midnight. Taillights blurring in tears. Gate buzzed open, pity or trap. Victor met me on the porch. Robe belted loose. Cigar smoke curling like a noose.
Easy.
Say Joe. Lena's fine. Kids tucked in. Ethan peeked from a window. Eyes wide. Accusation or fear. Let me see him, I demanded. Fists clenched. He stepped aside, ushering me into the den. Leather and lies. Family photos mocking from mantles. Lena nursed Riley on the couch. Expression granite. We're staying, she announced. Till you cool off. Cool off. He's poison. Lena. The plea. Your mom, it's all him. She rocked Riley. Soothing. Or you. Hacking.
Threats.
Dad says you're unstable. Post-probation paranoia. Victor nodded sage-like. Seen it before. Good men break. Marco lumbered in then. Ankle monitor beeping softly. Beat it.
Geek.
Or join the party. The room closed in. Family tribunal. Me the defendant. I snatched Ethan's stuffed T-Rex from the coffee table. A talisman. This isn't over. Victor's hand on my shoulder.
Heavy.
It is if you let it. Sign the NDA. Walk away rich. I walked, but not away. Echo's network hummed. Deeper digs unearthed Victor's offshore slush fund. Laundering medical flips to Cayman shells. One transfer? To a clinic in Gary, botched abortions. Black market baby adoptions. The Russos weren't just thieves. They trafficked futures. Ethan scared a drop in the bucket. Rage refined to diamond. No more petty hacks. Time for the heist. I recruited a disgruntled ex-employee from Victor's shop. Tina, burnt by a bounce check. A journalist from the Tribune, hungry for the scoop of the decade. And Carla, yeah. Her, now a tenured prof with ethics committee clout, who laughed off the affair leak as youthful folly but hated mob-adjacent scum. We met in a Wrigleyville dive. Blueprints spread like a poker spread. Infiltrate the next auction. Live stream the takedown. The gala was Victor's crown jewel, vintage valor at the Drake Hotel. Chandeliers dripping wealth over tuxes and gowns. I crashed as tech consultant, badge swiped from a caterer's cart. Lena was there, arm looped in Victor's. Riley in a bassinet backstage, glamour masking grit. Ethan? Home with a sitter. Thank God. Marco patrolled. Earpiece crackling. Auction kicked off. Fabergés. Dubious Rembrandts. Then the medical curios. A tray of gear. Ethan's vest center stage. Tag gleaming. Mid-20th C. Respiratory relic. $4, 500 start. Bids climbed. Faceless suits raising paddles like guillotines. I slipped backstage. Tina distracting security with a plumbing emergency. Plugged in my rig, a Raspberry Pi rigged for 4K stream. Patched to the podcastus live feed.
Go time.
Victor on stage. Mic and paw. This beauty. Folks, breath of fresh history. I hit upload. Screens flickered. Auction projectors hijacked. The security footage blooming large. Russo shadows looting ICU. Gasps rippled. Bids dying like fish on a dock. Victor froze. Face ashen under spots. Technical glitch, he blustered. Marco charged, but Carla's crew, protesters seated in the crowd, unfurled banners, Russo's real relics, stolen lives. Chaos erupted, flashes popping. Phones aloft. Security scrambling. I grabbed the vest, relic of my rage, and bolted for the service exit. Heart pounding. I glimpsed Lena in the throng, horror etching her features. Riley's cry pierced the din.
Outside.
Rainslick, Michigan Avenue. I melted into the crowd, Uber to a safe house in Pilsen. Vest clutched like Excalibur. Stream hit 1 million views by dawn. Russo robbed trending. Feds mobilizing. Victor's empire? Cirrhosis of the soul. Bleeding out. But victories soured fast. Lena's text. You monster. Kids safe for now. But we're done. Custody war loomed. Victor's lawyers sharks in suits. Echo warned. They're coming for you. Hard. The flip that gutted me? Tina, my inside gal, was Victor's plant. She'd fed me half-truths. The raid is set up to frame me for grand theft, cameras catching my snatch of the vest. Bail hearing me in orange. Charges mounting. Marco testified. Smug. Saw him tamper. Personal grudge. Courtroom drama. Straight out of a Lifetime movie. But real as the cuffs biting my wrists. Lena testified. Voice steady. He was obsessed. Dangerous. Ethan, via video, whispered, "Miss you."
Dad.
But scared. Riley, too young for scars. But they'd come. Victor visited lockup. Glass between us like our marriage. Told you.
Kid.
Chess. His grin. Triumphant. Sign the papers. Drop the war. Walk for time served. The NDA. Fattened with hush money. Surrender. I signed. Walked free. A ghost in my own life. Divorce papers served hot. Custody split 60-40 his way. Stability, the judge cited. Ethan and Riley. Wards of the Viper. But here's the controversial call. I didn't stop. From a burner laptop in a Motel 6 off I-90. I leaked the root file, the mom's death. My framed plea. Tribune splashed. Innocent man duped in Russo racket. Suicide or silencing? Public cleaved. Sage is a martyr, cried one camp. Vindictive prick. Using kids as pawns, snarled the other. Protests at Victor's gates. Boycotts bankrupting the remnants. Lena called, sobbing. Why? We could have healed. Heal on lies. I echoed. Your choice. Exiles suited me. In a masochistic, Breaking Bad kind of way. I holed up in a furnished studio in Wicker Park, peeling wallpaper. Wi-Fi spotty as my conscience, gigging remote for startups too green to Google my name. Ethan visits every other weekend. A supervised ritual in neutral parks. his eyes wary like I'd morphed into the Grinch overnight. "Why can't we go home, Dad?" he'd ask, kicking pebbles into the lagoon at Lincoln Park Zoo. Home. The word stung worse than probation ink. "Working on it, champ," I'd lie, ruffling his hair while Riley babbled in Lena's arms across the bench. A chasm of strollers and strangers. Victor gloated from afar. His empire, reduced to a single pawnshop in Berwyn, but influence lingered like cigar ash. He greased palms, judges, social workers, tilting scales. My countersuit for wrongful framing? Buried in motions. Lawyers bleeding me dry. Carla counseled over Zoom, her office bookshelves a fortress of tomes. "You're in the gray.
Sage.
Heroes don't win custody wars."
Gray.
That's where controversy thrives, the muck where right and wrong wrestle naked. The podcaster, Jax, looped back, collab on a special. The Harlan Heist. We taped in a soundproofed garage. Mike's hot as third-degree burns. I spilled the unvarnished, the knife in the Mustang, yeah. That opener wasn't hyperbole. Carved it post-signing. Anonymous tip to his insurance. The offshore drains. The mom's ghost. Jax edited tight, dropping bombs. Was Sage Harlan a father fighting fire? Or a hacker hurling grenades at his own family? Listens shattered records. Sponsors fleeing. But truth? It slithered free. Flip City. Marco cracked first. House arrest chafed. Indictment looming like a guillotine. He reached out via a smuggled note at pickup. Meet. No wires. For real. Diner off Cicero. Formica tables scarred like my trust. He slid in opposite.
Gaunt.
Ankle bracelet chafing. Dad's done.
Man.
Feds got the ledgers, everything. I'm flipping. Testimony for leniency. The hook? Your plea? Yeah. He framed you. But Lena. She knew. After Mom. Helped bury it. Lena. My anchor. Complicit. Rage and relief ward finally. The full rot exposed. Why tell me? Marco shrugged. Coffee black as a soul. Guilt or survival? Testify with me. Bury him proper. Alliance with the devil's spawn? Controversial as hell. But chess demands pawns. We lawyered up joint. A mismatched duo in a conference room smelling of stale donuts. Feds bit, please stack. Marco for the flips. Me as a grieved witness. Victor's arraignment was theater. Would court downtown. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire. He entered cuffed. Silver hair askew. But chin high, Al Capone light. Lena testified, remote. Voice quavering. My father provided. Yes. Mistakes. But family. Cuts off as sobs hit. Mistake? Try murder. My turn, the stand. Bible heavy in palm. He stole my son's breath for $1. Framed me for his sins. Killed her, my mother-in-law, to silence truth. Gasps. Sketches in the trib immortalizing my glare. Victor's eyes locked mine across the dock. Defiance.
Then.
Flicker? Regret? Or calculation? Plotting appeal. Jury deliberated 3 days. Chicago stewing in August swelter. Verdict dropped like a hammer. Guilty. All counts. Trafficking. Fraud. Manslaughter. 25 to life. No parole. Victor's snarl as they led him. You'll rot with me. Say Joe. But the courtroom erupted. Supporters cheering. Lena fleeing in tears. Marco slumping relieved. Aftermath? A whirlwind of schadenfreude and fallout. Marco got 18 months. House arrest upgraded to club fed. He visited once. Pre-sentencing. Thanks, brother. Oh, you.
Oh.
The word hung. Unpaid.
Lena?
She spiraled, depression crashing like waves on Navy Pier. Custody flipped full to me. Victor's taint disqualified her as primary. She fought dirty, accusing alienation. But the judge saw through. MS. Harlan, your loyalties compromised the children's safety. Riley toddled now. First steps in my cramped studio. Ethan thawing with Lego empires. But Lena's visits? Poisoned chalices, accusations flying. You destroyed him. Us. Controversy peaked with the book deal. Breathless betrayal. My memoir. Ghosted by Jax. Publishers drooled. But backlash bit. Feminist blogs skewering me as manipulative dad weaponizing trauma, while dad rights forums crown me saint. Talk shows booked. From CNN's sanctimonious panels to Rogan's cigar-chomping rants. I demurred most. But one, O'Reilly's comeback special, hooked me. Sage Harlan, hero or homewrecker? Studio lights hot as interrogation. Bill's squint probing. You carved betrayal in your father-in-law's car. Vandalism? Or poetry? I leaned in. Both. He deserved verse. Laughter. Uneasy. And your wife? Complicit.
You say.
Left or broken. The pivot. Lena chose sides. I chose survival. Cuts to commercial on audience murmurs, split down the middle. No victors. Twist brewed in the shadows. Echo. My fixer ghost. Surfaced unbidden. Encrypted drop. Rousseau ain't done.
Contingency.
Files unpacked. Victor's appeal. Greased with hidden assets. And the kicker, Lena, pocketing from the Cayman pot. Monthly drips to an offshore legacy fund. For the kids, or her escape hatch. Proof. Bank cams. Her signature on ghost accounts. Betrayal squared. I confronted over coffee at our old spot. Swedish pancakes congealing. The money. Lena. Victor's blood money. Her fork trembled. For us. Riley's college. Ethan's treatments. You think your hacks pay that. Defensive. But eyes darted. Guilt's tell.
He made me sign.
Before the trial. Protection, he said. Protection. The cycle spun. You're just like him. The words landed. Nuclear. She stood. Chair scraping. Better than you, obsessed. Alone. Left me the bill. Metaphor or malice. Revenge's apex loomed. The appeal hearing. Victor gunning for retrial on prosecutorial misconduct. My testimony coerced via Marco's flip. I prepped. But doubt crept. Had I coerced? Pushed too far? Public weight in petitions for retrial surged. Free Vic, family man framed. Countered by lock him forever. Monster in mansions. Hearing day. Federal courthouse gleaming like justice's facade. Victor. Sharper in a suit. His lawyer shark from Harvard Shallows. My cross. Objection sustained on every damning detail. The footage tampered. The files hacked illegally. Marco recanted partial. Duress from me. Lena? Absent. But affidavit sworn. Sage manipulated. Unstable. The judge bought it. Mistrial granted. Retrial pending. Victor walked. Bond renewed. His wink across the bar like a loaded die. Media frenzy. Rousseau rises. Harlan's house of cards collapses. I fled to the studio. Ethan and Riley with a sitter. Pounding Miller Lights till dawn. Call from Carla. Run the final play. Or fold. Final play. The Cayman Key. I drained it every cent. Rerouted to CF Foundations. Ethan's care. Even a trust for Lena's legacy, minus the lies. Anon. Untraceable. Victor's war chest? Vapor. He knew. Midnight knock. Studio door splintering under his bulk. Bond be damned. You thieving prick, he roared. Fists flying. I ducked. Grabbed a lamp. Brass base cracking his jaw. We grappled. Grunts echoing in the cheap space. Blood flecking the Berber. For Ethan, I gasped. Knee to gut. For her. He wheezed. Pinning me. Family.
Sage.
Always. Sirens wailed. Neighbors 911. Cops hauled us both. Bruised and bellowing. Charges mutual. Assault. Violation. But the real bomb? Body cam caught his confession. You took the money?
Good.
But you'll never take the blood.
Blood.
The hook that split the world. Victor. Unbowed. Claimed brotherhood. He's my son-in-law. We fight. But family sticks. Tabloids ate it. Russo-Harlan brawl, love or loathing? Lena collected the kids.
Her face a mask.
End it.
Sage.
Please. But ending? That's the controversy. No clean kills in this game. Fallout from the brawl painted Chicago tabloids in lurid strokes. Father-in-law fisticuffs. Revenge round 2. Bail hearings overlapped like bad traffic on the Dan Ryan. Victor spinning yarns of mutual misunderstanding, me countering with his midnight maraud.
Judge.
A grizzled vet with bear's cufflinks. Split the baby. Probation extensions. No contact orders thicker than a deep dish crust. Lena mediated from afar. Texts clipped. Counseling. For all.
All.
The word encompassed the wreckage. Ethan flinching at raised voices. Riley's babble turning wary. Marco ghosting into witness protection whispers. I complied. Sessions in a Lincoln Park walk-up with Dr. Voss. A Freudian fossil who probed like a dentist on Novocaine. Revenge as catharsis. Mr. Harlan, he'd muse. Pipe smoke curling. Or addiction? Addiction. Nailed it. But quitting cold? Nah. That fed Victor's narrative. See? Unhinged. Instead, I channeled, blogged under Shadow Dad, anonymized dispatches on betrayals' long tail. Followers split, therapists praising vulnerability. Trolls dubbing me Crybaby Crusader. Controversies currency. Paying in clicks and catharsis. Victor's retrial loomed like a hangover. December docket in the shadow of holiday lights. He campaigned subtle, charity galas for youth lung health, irony dripping like eggnog. Photos with Ethan? Blocked by orders. But proxy slipped. Victor at a CF walk. Bib numbered for my grandkids. Public lapped it. Redeemed Russo, poles tilting his way. Lena softened. Visits lengthening. Her hand lingering on mine during Riley's naps. He's changing, she confided. Therapy.
Says sorry. Sorry.
The S-word from Victor? Suspect as a $3 bill. I tested waters. Joint dinner. Neutral ground. A Giordano's knockoff in Elmwood Park. Steam rising from stuffed pies. Ethan chattered about school plays. Riley smeared sauce like abstract art. Victor arrived last. Subdued in a polo. No gold chains. Sage. He extended a hand, calloused.
Steady.
I shook. Electric. Vic. Small talk flowed awkward as bad plumbing. White sock slump. Thanksgiving plans. Then, the carve. About the gear. Ethan. I was wrong. Dead wrong. Apology hung. Eyes downcast. Genuine? Or jury bait? Lena beamed. Bridge builder.
See?
Progress. But Marco's ghost text buzzed my burner. Don't buy it. He's playing you for the appeal. Doubt nod. But for the kid's sake. I swallowed. Truce 2.0. Shared holidays. Co-parent apps pinging like friendly fire. Twist dropped Christmas Eve. Snow blanketing the city in false purity. Ethan and Riley crashed early. Stockings stuffed with Switch games and dolls. Lena curled beside me on the couch. Mulled wine warming the chill. Mary. Sage. Her kiss tentative.
Thaw.
Then my phone echo. Unbidden. Contingency activated. Watch the news. Local feed flickered. Breaking. Russo appeal bombshell. Hidden video surfaces. Grainy clip. Victor's office. Time-stamped pre-arraignment. Him to Marco. Frame the geek harder. Leak the affair. The hacks. Make him the villain. Laughter. Then. And the mom? Old news. But if he digs. Bury him with her. Her. Lena's mom. Confirmation. Cold as lake ice. I played it silent. Volume low. Lena stirred. What? Handed it over. Face stone. She watched. Color draining.
No.
Edited. Deep fake. Denial's reflex. But the tattoo? The limp. Undeniable. Echo doesn't fake, I said. He buries. Her sob broke free.
Raw.
I knew.
About mom.
He told me post-plea. Accident in the family biz. I buried it. For us.
Us.
The betrayal's core. Rotten as week old pie. You chose him. Again. She clutched my shirt. Forgive? Like you want.
Want.
The mirror cracked. My hacks. The knife.
The drain.
Maybe neither. Victor called at dawn. Voice silk over gravel. Heard the clip? Sloppy plant. But truce holds. Arrogance. Assuming absolution. I hung up.
Blocked.
New Year's resolution endgame. The play? Public trial of truth. Leaked the clip to Jax, who spliced it into a finale pod. Russo's reckoning. Final flip. Dropped January 2nd. Syncing with appeal motions. Views cratered Victor's polls. Supporters fleeing. Monster. Not mentor. Hashtags trending. Feds reopened manslaughter. Adding obstruction. His lawyers bailed. Circus folding. Climax hit in family court. Custody redux.
Judge.
Same grizzled bear. Reviewed the pod as Exhibit A. Lena testified. Broken. I was blind. Complicit. But the kids. Cuts off.
Tears.
Victor's proxy argued stability. But the clip poisoned the well. Ruling. Full to me. Supervised for her. Zilch for him. Victor cornered post-hearing in a hall. Deputies hovering. You win.
Say Joe.
But blood? It calls.
His eyes.
Defeated but defiant. Ethan's got Russo fire. Watch it burn you. Prophecy or paranoia. Spring bloomed uneasy. Lena an outpatient. Rebuilding from the ground up. Visits warmed. Her apologies earnest over park picnics. Ethan thrived. Little League ace. Vest a badge, not a burden. Riley's first words? Dada, pointing at me, melting the frost. But the twist that sparked endless barroom debates? Victor's suicide note. Smuggled pre-hanging in county lockup. To Sage, you took everything. But in the end, I gave you the family you craved, unbroken. Mine no more. Burn it all. Enclosed, a locket. Lena's mom's. Engraved, blood thickens lies. Gift or curse. Autopsy ruled self-inflicted. But whispers swirled. Marco's accident in witness. Staged to look like OD. Controversy eternal. Did I push him over? Or free us? Forums fractured. Sage avenged, justice served. Versus. Murder by proxy. Blood on his hands. Ending? No tidy bow. Lena and I? Trial separation. Co-parent pros. She dates a teacher. Mild-mannered, I swipe right on baristas. But ghosts linger. Ethan asks once. Over waffles. Grandpa bad? I pause. Syrup sticky. Complicated. Bud. Like pie, sweet and messy. Riley giggles. Oblivious.
Me?
I carve no more Mustangs, but the knife's edge remains, revenge's shadow. Long as a Chicago winter. Was it worth it? Asked the split crowd.
Me?
I'd do it again. For breath. For blood unspilled. In the quiet nights. Lake Michigan whispering beyond the skyline. I wonder, hero, villain, or just the patsy who finally flipped the board. You decide. That's the real hook, no victors. Just survivors in the gray.